Hello and welcome to 7mm Sidings. This is video number 68, and today we're going to have a look at doing some scenics on the layout. Now, I've moved the fueling point from 7mm Sidings over to Bench Road, which is the new stabling point, and therefore it's left a big hole in 7mm Sidings. I'm going to repair that by covering the area with grass over the sidings to make them look a bit derelict, disused and that sort of thing. Hopefully it won't come out too bad. The video is going to be in two parts, I would think, because otherwise you'll get too bored, switch off and go and make a cup of tea. So we'll see how it goes, and I hope you enjoy part one, and see you shortly. Thank you. So this is what we have at the moment. You can see where the fuel pumps have been removed, and a couple of bits there where the lights went through, the yard lamps went through. At the moment, as I say, it is ballasted all the way through, but from about the bridge area forward alongside the wall, the plan is to make it slightly more grassed over, disused, etc. Probably a bit of a grass embankment or some grass along the back to fill in that large area there, and finish it just before the points here, so that it blends in more with the rest of the layout. The effect I'm looking for is a similar sort of thing to what we have at this end of the layout, where you can see there's grass between the tracks and between the forefoot as well, so that it'll blend in, bit disused, bit unkept, bit unwanted, but still in use. I'm going to run through all the materials as we use them, but bought some new stuff that was required. Some more F51, the light green foliage, and that's rather nice. Some 7mm light green grass from Woodland Scenics, and I couldn't get any of the light green that I wanted, or the straw colour grass, but I did manage to get some Pico winter grass, 4mm, which it may well be used and blended in as well. Now what I've done here, I've taken this Pico winter grass, and when I opened the packet it was in sort of balls and it was a bit of a job to separate, but I did have a tub of very bright green grass, which was too bright to use as a natural source. So I've put the Pico grass in there. I've given it a good shake up. You can still see there's still a couple of balls that I need to break up, but what it's done is generally toned down this other grass to a more reasonable sort of colour, and that may be usable. I'm not sure at the moment. We'll see how it goes. If it goes on and it's too bright, I can always give it a blow over with the airbrush or some powders, or even mix other colours with it later on. We'll see how it goes. So I've got my trusty old ketchup bottle there, about 3/4 filled with neat PVA, and then I can use that to pour on so that it doesn't come out too fast, and so it doesn't make too much of a mess. We'll see. It may do, it may not. If it does, we can repair it. It's not impossible. So we'll make a start along the back, and oh, I hope you can still see this. I'm not too worried where it runs down over the wall, because being PVA, it'll dry fairly clear, and I can put foliage down over anyway. So that to me is a start, and the next thing we'll do is add some grass. So I've loaded my static grass applicator. It's a Pico one, and I'll put a clip onto the rail, the PVA on my finger, that won't hurt, and I've loaded it with that mixed grass. And in fact, before I do that, I'm going to put some more PVA down the centre of here, because the applicator is quite a wide thing, so I'll do that next. What I'm also going to do before I actually put the grass on is just dab this a bit more, so that it thins it out a bit more, so it's not quite so thick in places. It'll change the way the grass sticks to it. I can see down here already that there's some ballast that probably wasn't set properly first time round when it was done a couple of years ago, but that doesn't matter too much. And just dab a bit around here. I'll put it over this side as well, because if any grass does come over this side, this is all going to be filled in anyway, but it's a start. So now the grass applicator can go on. Being careful not to touch the rail or the trigger once you switch the power on, because otherwise it does give you a bit of a belt. And, oh, it's come off. Switch off the power before I reconnect it. Connect to the rail to get yourself a bit of an earth. And it's come off again. It's because there's so much ballast between the tracks there that I haven't got a great deal of rail to grip on for the little clip. And it's come off again. We will get there. Now I said earlier that I bought this 51 light green foliage, but in my box I've also found some 36 extra coarse turf, some, what's that, 54 conifer green, and a little tiny bit of 52 medium green. As you can see, the bags are very old. I've probably had them 15-20 years and used bits over the years, but again, it'll all mix together. It doesn't go off, it hasn't got a sell by date or a use by date. What I've done, I've put some PVA now into my little pot, and I should put that along the back and start sticking some foliage along the back and see if we can get some coverage down there. The reason why there's PVA hanging over the wall, like I said earlier, we can use that to our advantage and stick the PVA, the foliage to that, and it will actually look quite good. At the moment you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm actually just tearing apart some of this light green foliage, and it comes apart like a bit of a mesh. It's ideal for ivy, tree coverings, those sort of things, and when you put it on, it gives you a good coverage, and is ideal for what we're going to do along the back here. And it gives a realistic effect of just there we go, and that's already started to blend in with the trees along the background, and will look quite good once it's done. So several different greens are going to be used in this process. Remember, nature isn't just one colour, and we're going to just make it look like it's all come down over the wall in places. Not all the way along, but in quite a few places it'll have come down over the wall. And I'm not worried about it touching the back scene I've done there either, because once again, because it will blend up into that, it will help give a better 3D effect. So the one I'm using now is the dark conifer, and I'm just laying it over the green, the PVA that's there, and pushing it down in and down over the wall there as well, as you can see, and letting it blend up into the back, down over the side. Takes away the harsh edge of the wall as well, and helps to blend it all in together. I've just got some spare bits now between my fingers. I'm just pushing into the brickwork there where the PVA is run down, and again I should do that further along as we go. So that's what we're going to do along this piece. Let's put another colour there now. Once again, a bit more PVA on there now, and we can go along a bit further with that, and need to put some more PVA in my pot in a second, but that gives us enough there to put in another piece that will just go and sit in there nicely, and hanging down over again, as I say, just in there, and then another bit there. And what I'm doing with this piece, I'm just wiping this in the bottom of the PVA pot, so it's got some PVA on it. Stick it in the top of there, pop that over there, and we've got a nice little overhang there of grasses, etc. Bit of a job to see at the moment, but it will all come together, I can assure you. Well, I hope it will anyway. If it doesn't, I'm in trouble. So what I've just done whilst the camera was off is to put some along the bottom of the wall, slightly different green, and that will blend up. And bear in mind, this will all have more flock and foliage over the top at a later date, once some of that has dried off a bit, and it will all tone down a bit more. One important thing to remember when you're doing this is not to cut it so it's neat and tidy. Nature is not neat and tidy. Nature is, by virtue of what it is, it's all over the place. And so by layering it on in different layers, one over the other, you can get various colours, and various colours will blend into each other. There you can see that that's going on there, and that will all blend in nicely. And because it's coming up here a bit more, that will look like it's foliage growing up as well as along and hanging down as well. So don't be afraid to let it hang down. It can go anywhere. So in my pot here now, you can see I've got the medium green, I've got the light green, which was the 51, and I've also got some of the conifer green. So I've been tearing it apart, breaking it up, etc. And over here you can see that I've also put light green over dark green. Now light green over dark green, once the PVA is dried, the dark green will show through in places under the light green to give more depth to the actual scene. So hopefully that will look an awful lot better and blend in once the PVA is dried. Now there you've got a job to see where the difference is between two-dimensional back scene, or one-dimensional back scene rather, and three-dimensional layout, because the bushes have helped to blend it all in together. This foliage is also good for a ground cover. I've put some down there as a sort of brambles that were growing up the wall, and there'll be a little bit more of that in a minute. I'll put a couple of bits down there as well, you can see. And again, not stuck to one colour. I shall add some more different colour to that in just a moment, and we'll see how that looks then. So what I'm going to do now is to just add some static grass. It's out of the pot, and just get a few little clumps in between my fingers and just push a few bits in places, and again that'll help blend it all in. Once it's dry, most of that will hoover off, but some of it will stick, and when you hoover it, it will help it to stand up, and that will help it to all blend in together later on. Again, he says hopefully. Now here, I wasn't quite sure what to do. I didn't want to hide the roadway that's showing behind the trees that's coming out from the yard there. So what I've decided to do is to put down a little piece of cardboard, just to give us a little bit of a former there, and then a slightly larger piece over that I can blend in to make the area there stand out a bit. So we'll whack a bit of PVA down, and I'm going to cover that in masking tape, etc. in a minute, and that will help to blend it all in, and it will give it something to stick to. So we put that down over the top there to give me something there, a bit of PVA over the top of that, and along the back of there, and then we take our masking tape. Masking tape is brilliant with PVA because it comes off nice and goes off nice and rock hard afterwards, and makes a superb, almost a shell-like former. So it's very good for that. So we're just going to pop that in there. Don't need that bit. Tear off that end there, and tear off there, and then just dab it down. A bit of PVA over the top there. Although the masking tape is self-sticky, as you know, it doesn't stick that well all the time, but with the PVA on it, it does, and that helps it all to stick down. I've just got PVA all over the handle of my brush now, so I'm just going to wipe that off a moment. Put that over there. Everything will be covered in PVA in a minute, including me. So, right, so then a bit more PVA just over the top like that, coating of PVA, and then another few bits of masking tape over the top of it. Build it up in layers, and that way it will stick and will form just a nice little mound there, which is just what I want, because I didn't want the flat area. I wanted a little bit of contour to give a little bit of interest to the area, and a grassy sort of mound along the back. Bit of PVA along the back of there, and then another nice piece of masking tape along the back. And again, there's PVA got up on there, but that won't show. That'll dry. Too many people try and be too precise and fussy when they're doing scenics. Nature isn't like that. Nature is, what should we say? Nature does what it wants, where it wants. So, for example, if there's a water course anywhere, water will always take priority and reform an area for itself, because that's the way that water is. You know, people try and redivert streams and rivers, etc. It doesn't work. And likewise here, we've now got a little bit of a mound there, and that's going to be ready in a moment to put some PVA on, and to put some flockage on, and we'll have a little bit of a grass mound. So let's see what that looks like. Now, because I want this all to blend in fairly well, what I'm going to do here is just from that sort of entrance out there is put a little sprinkling of engaged ballast just down on that corner, and again the bottom bit will stick, top bit might not. It doesn't matter. What sticks sticks, what doesn't doesn't. And now we can start covering the whole lot in some PVA and add static grass. I've already loaded the static grass gun, so we're ready to rock and roll with that. So all we're going to do now is spread that out a bit and bring that down to that edge there. Again, along the back I'm not too worried, because that's going to be mainly shrubbery along the back, but I want a little bit of grass at the front. Again, the grass here will be covered in shrubs, but you'll always see grass sticking up through. We'll take it up as far as the borderline there with the car park area, and then hopefully and what I'm also going to do is just whilst I'm there, put a little bit of PVA just in here, a little bit there and a little bit there, and in fact I'm going to do that PVA along there as well, so that I can do the whole lot in one swipe, and that will make it a lot easier as well. So we'll just PVA along there. Again, the back of that is going to be covered in either flock foliage, bushes or something in a minute. I'm not quite sure what or how, but we'll do that in a second. Worry about it when we get to it, as they say. Right, that will do for that. Static gun is duly loaded, and I'm going to start from this corner here. So we'll go in and switch on the power. Oh, and the clips come off again. So once again, switch off before I get an electric shock. moving the clip along here and bring the camera around. It's a good job I put the paint on the back seam nice and thick, isn't it? Otherwise I would have been knocking it off by now. For those that don't know, the back scenes are painted by myself. I enjoy doing the back scenes. Trying to make every layout just a little bit different. Some come out well, some don't come out so good. But that's the nature of the beast with anything like that. You try it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, well, hey ho, give it another go another day, or scrap it. Beauty with acrylic paint is you can paint over it. So a lot of this, changed my mind, decided to do something different. For example, where the road is, originally that was all going to be just greenery along the back, and then I decided to add the roadway, so the roadway comes out from the car park area and you can see it running along behind the bushes and then disappears gradually where it would go up and meet the road at the top. So those sort of things we add as we go along. What I'm going to add now is some T46 weeds, fine weeds. Horrible. Should never have bought it, totally wrong green, but as an undercover along the back, rather than waste it, I can use it. 99% of it will be covered over, but it just gives a base for the other foliage in a moment to stick to, and to help give some ground cover along the back. So just sprinkling a little bit of that along at the moment, and we'll see how we go. So yeah, a little tip, don't buy the 46 unless you want something really vivid. Now this is a better one. This is the T49, the green blend, and it's a nicer colour. It's a lighter green. There's a little bit of yellow in with it, so that's going to be ideal now for sprinkling over the top of here. I'll put a little bit over there as well, but in patches over here that will soak through and again dry between the grass, and give a little bit of a different colour in a few areas through there. What I'm also going to do here, when I can find it, is where I'll put that bit of flock on, just give it a very light misting there, so the flock will now soak into the PVA a little bit better. In case you think you're alone watching this, I can assure you you're not. The other half of Lazy Joe's crew are there, and they're just keeping an eye on what I'm doing. I don't want it to go over the track too much. Right, okay, I'm going to end this video here now, because otherwise you will have nodded off, and we don't want that. So the next video will be part 2 of this, and that's going to be video number 69. So we'll see how the embankment gets finished off, tidied up, hoovered up, and make sure it looks okay, and just have a general look around and see if there's any more bits we need to do later on. But please join me for part 2, video 69, and that'll be along shortly. Thanks for watching now. Bye bye.